Can't hear you, Teresa.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. I think we're cooking with grease now, y'all. I think I think we cooking with grease this morning. Yeah, I see it now. Everything's good. All right. Good morning, Tamika. Yep, there we are. Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We got off to a slower start this morning just because we are trying to get everyone in and making sure that we're all off to a good and safe start today. I know if you joined us last time, you saw us kind of endure some shenanigans, but we're in a good space today. My dear, 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 dear friend. I had to put a whole bunch of deers on that. Tamika Miller has joined us this morning, y'all. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to the students, thank you to colleagues, thank you to everyone who shared with us your well wishes after last week's shenanigans. We've put additional precautions and added passwords and different things. It did slow us down a little bit this morning, but we're gonna go right into it. We're gonna grace Tamika with the additional time that we took to get started this morning, about 5-7 minutes. And I my attention will probably be split as well because I'm going to kind of man the waiting room, and again just taking care of our space. It's the precautions that are so worth it because it allows us to have our conversations, really share our thoughts, and learn some things today without interruption. Let's get right into it. We have some additional guests who are joining us today in terms of students. This thing is kind of picking up some momentum, picking up steam. We have 11 students who will be joining us throughout the day from Dillard University, and we will have 12, 13 students from Lawson State University who will also be joining us. I'm just excited that more and more people are watching these talks and gaining a great amount of information out of this. And that's the intent. Right now with the pandemic, it's just, it's our hope that we can continue to kind of move forward with some semblance of normalcy. And our guests are making that happen for us. They're actually giving us more than we could ever anticipate on a regular day. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone who's participating and helping this flourish. All right, Tamika Miller. This woman is a dear, dear friend. I've known her 16 years at this point, 16 years. Our friendship can drive a car at this point, 16. And she's an extraordinary director. She's worked in the commercial world, especially for a number of years. If you live in Los Angeles and you trip and fall into the commercial world, you will hear her name at some point because she's an extraordinary producer, an extraordinary director. Her work as a production manager for national campaigns means that those jobs they finish on time, if not early. They are well run. I had the pleasure of working on a Ross commercial once that Tamika put me on in the art department. I was so happy. It was a very exciting experience. It was my first time working on a national campaign. And for 30-second commercials, you'd be surprised at how much work goes into making those those commercial spots that we tend to fast forward through, or not pay any attention to, or on Super Bowl Sunday make a whole event around. You'd be surprised at how much work goes into it. And so the person I'm going to introduce y'all to today, she does a lot of extraordinary work. And the thing that I'm most excited about with Tamika, aside from, us being longtime friends, is that I've had the opportunity and the privilege of working with her as a writing partner on a project that hopefully we can talk a little bit about today. I don't know. She might be tight-lipped about it. Tamika can be, kind of like protective about some things sometimes. You don't want to talk about it? Well, So at any rate, Tamika, welcome to our space today.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Who may ever may a lot of people I'm sure are tuning in live somewhere all over the country. But thank you for having me. This is a great honor. I'm a big fan of Professor Teresa, and so I'm really grateful to get the opportunity to speak. Anytime I have the opportunity to speak, particularly with young folk, I jump at the opportunity because I wish actually, coming up in the entertainment industry in my 20s, coming to Los Angeles for the first time right after college, that I had really mentorship, which I didn't really have. And so, so all that to say, I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity. I'll tell you a little bit about myself as well. As Teresa mentioned, I'm actually a commercial and narrative director who got my start in commercials. It's funny, the very first commercial I ever worked on was as a production assistant, was a Toyota commercial starring Christian Slater, who some of you may know from Mr. Robot. And it was a Toyota commercial for the Japanese market, and it was directed by Antoine Fuqua, who some of you may know as the director of Training Day and of the Equalizer franchise, a pretty successful Black male director here in Hollywood. And that was my first time working on a set, any set, and it was a commercial set. And so I moved up fairly quickly from production assisting to coordinating to production supervising to line producing commercials. And I have managed multi-million-dollar commercial campaigns from brands like Samsung to Target, to Toyota, to American Express, you name it. And so for me, working in commercials on the production end really was my film school. I went to Northwestern University. I was a communications major, as I know a number of you students are. I was not in film school. So I came out of college with a communications degree, having minored in African American studies. And I knew I wanted to work in the entertainment industry, but I thought I would be what I call a suit. I thought I would be someone who was, worked at the studio, more of an executive, because I also had a mind for dollars, for money, for finance.
Yeah.
And I actually started out as an economics major before I changed my major to communications. So I thought I would become a suit, but I quickly realized that I'm a creative. I'm an artist. I'm very lucky to have sort of both sides of my brain working for me, whereas on one side is the creative, is the artist, and the other side, again, knows numbers and finance and really knows how to execute. And so I'm very lucky in that way. And so having started out in commercials on the production end, I realized again that I was a creative. And so I was always writing. And started to direct, my own sort of commercial spec spots to hone my craft as a director, because luckily I was working for a living on sets, and watching everything unfold, learning what everyone did, which really has lent to I think my success as a filmmaker. I've been on 1,000 sets, having managed them. I know what every department should be doing. And so, while I was making a living as a freelancer, and I want to stress that, since graduating from college, I've never had a 9 to 5. I've never had to clock in and clock out in the traditional way that we know of. I've been freelance my entire career, and which isn't to say there haven't been some challenging times financially. Definitely when the recession hit in 2008 or 9, when I'm sure you students were like 7 or 8 years old. Hopefully we will not be going into another recession with this pandemic. But I want to say that I've been freelance my entire career because I think it really is just important to me that you understand, like, anything's possible, creating your own opportunities, throwing things against the wall to see if they'll stick. Those are some of the things that I've lived by, and honestly, it's worked for me. It really has worked for me. And so while I was working in commercials and honing my craft independently as a director and writer and doing short films, I was really preparing myself, for that big opportunity, or that bigger opportunity, or to make that step or that leap into directing for a living. And so, speaking about the pandemic, though, just to sort of get back to that, because I believe, Teresa, that's the question you wanted me to answer. How is the pandemic affecting my life and my work? First, let me say I'm really grateful. I'm safe. I'm healthy. I have a nice home to live in with a roof over my head. My family is safe and healthy. So I'm really grateful for that. But it's definitely affected my work because I'm actually supposed to be in pre-production right now for a TV movie. And so because of this pandemic, my television movie has now been pushed. So principal photography is supposed to start June 1st. So we'll see. I'm supposed to be in pre-production in May. I'm also slated to direct another TV movie in August in Canada. And so, yes, it's definitely having an effect on everyone I know working in the entertainment industry. A lot of us who are freelancers, who are, self-employed or independent contractors or what have you, because all of productions have been shut down across the board. TV, commercials. I'm a commercial director as well as a narrative director, so commercials are shut down as well. And so it's definitely having an impact, a financial impact on a lot of us working in this industry. So that's a little bit about me, I guess, and sort of my trajectory into this industry. And I don't know if you want to chime in, Teresa, but I can keep it moving.
No. I thank you so much for segueing right on into the pandemic piece. Before we go forward, just staying on the pandemic piece, so much of commercial work, like 90% of it all is about moving money, right? And pushing product and just kind of being innovative in storytelling where it comes to commerce in that respect. How do you see the pandemic affecting not only the work that you do from the perspective of making commercials? I know you mentioned the recession, the possibility of a recession. Do you have any sense of where the narrative might go then through commercials? We're starting to see a shift in the commercials where people are saying things like, we're going to deliver or drive through in terms of food, companies that never did that before. How do you see commercials as a construct kind of guiding us through this or shifting during this time?
Well, I think I think time will tell. That's the short answer. I've had recent conversations with executives at commercial production companies who said, we may have to sort of rethink how we do commercials. A commercial, and a lot of people are surprised to hear this, but commercials, there's a crew of 80 plus people on a 30-second commercial. That's a lot of people. to make that happen. And so when you're doing commercials for major brands and there's a lot of money being spent, it you have a small village of people making that happen.
Yeah.
And so now there's some talk of, well, can we make commercials remotely? Can we somehow use Zoom or somehow use, teleconferencing to make commercials?
Yeah.
I think anything's possible, but I think that in the commercial world, it may be challenging, I think, to move to that model and truly create the kind of content we're used to seeing. Yes, we can shoot remotely. We can bring a small crew of 3 or 4 people into a celebrity's, house or on a sound stage and make something happen. But advertising is a vast world and market, and so again, I go back to the economics. I go back to top directors who are doing the Super Bowl spots and major commercials. I think if we find ourselves in a recession, those same directors will be doing commercials they don't normally do.
Yeah.
For example, in lieu of doing a major Samsung or Apple campaign, they may be doing a Charmin toilet paper campaign, which has significantly less money. And so suddenly the other directors who, are in the different tiers in terms of their career are not getting those jobs. So it's really a trickle down effect, So major brands may not be spending that as much money, but maybe smaller brands may, although smaller brands tend to be owned by larger brands. But anyway, I hope that answers.
I would imagine more PSA work also probably will be the bread and butter for some people as we come out of this. You think?
I think, well, PSAs, PSAs are typically about messaging, right? It's a different kind of messaging. It's not necessarily about selling a product and about being creative in a way that compels people to go out and buy something. PSAs usually are informative. They're usually lower budget. I think people, people working in this industry, workers, sound mixer, grips, electrics, they're going to try to get work any way they can get it. So people who are in the union may do non-union work just to, help make ends meet.
Yeah. Okay. Before you go into your lecture, because I know you're going to give us the goods. Tell us about the BET film that premiered last year that you directed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I directed a romantic comedy titled Back to the Good Life, good Goode. And I shot that in Atlanta with a great ensemble cast. Kyla Pratt, London Brown, Kelly Jen Red, phenomenal cast. I could not have been happier with the cast. It was produced, it was a BET film co-produced by the Tate brothers, who many of you may be familiar with. Lorenz Tate, actor who's been in the business for a long time, along with his brothers, LaRon and Lamar. Lamar Tate is a phenomenal actor who was also in the film. And Brett Dismute. Brett Dismute is another producer on it. And it was a really great experience. It was a lot of fun. It was fast and furious, shooting TV movies. There's, these are not multi-million-dollar productions. It's some money, but it's not a $5 million production. So it's shooting a lot of scenes fairly quickly, and minimal takes. So it was a great experience for me. It really, I learned so much, actually. I learned so much because it was my first TV movie, actually. And I'd done narrative work before and independently, things I'd written and directed. This was the first narrative that I had not written that I directed, and it was a great experience for me.
It was a great film, a lot of fun to watch.
Thank
And I
you.
think when watching it, I think it's one thing to watch a film and you enjoy the film, but
Right.
when you know who's behind it,
Hmm.
suddenly there's this different level of investment that you're like, oh, okay, well, first of all, I hope this goes well. And then knowing you, I knew it would, but I also knew some of, like, what some of the trials you endured, as every filmmaker on every project, there's something that you kind of have to navigate.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching, and yeah, I was just rooting for you, like no one, like
Thank
maybe
you.
maybe other than Bubbles herself. Uh,
My mom. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
Mama Bubbles.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just so proud of you for that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and
Let
mute
me
my
just say
mic.
this real quick. So
Sure.
what a lot of people don't understand is that, in television, whether it's episodic or television movies, the directors are directors for hire. It's very different from maybe a studio film or an independent film where the director really has a lot of control. In the TV world, the producers have a great deal of control because they're delivering to network executives, and so anyway, I just wanted to make that small point.
No, not a small point at all. That's great information for our students who may have an eye for going into one direction or one, sector of the entertainment industry, and realize maybe there's another direction that's better suited for them because of that information. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to mute my mic. Tamika, I'm going to turn it over to you for a smooth 10, 15 minutes. Teach us a thing.
Okay, then. So, I've been very fortunate to speak to students and young people in the past, and I what I think may be helpful for in us moving forward, in lieu of me teaching one thing, because I think a few different gems and nuggets. I'm just going to sort of bullet point some things, and then perhaps in the Q&A and students asking questions, I can expound on those things. So just for the sake of time, I'm just going to sort of bullet point some things that I think are important. First thing, be fearless. Be fearless, be fearless, be fearless, be bold. I cannot express that enough. I know as young people, we can be timid. We are unsure and uncertain of our abilities and the paths that we're to take. But I would say, be bold, be fearless, throw things against the wall to see if they stick. Ask for what you want. Ask for what you want. My feeling is, what's the worst that could happen? You get a no. Okay, keep it moving. Keep it moving. The second thing I would say is create your own opportunity. You're in a time where you have so much access to technology, to cameras, even if it's on your phone or on another digital camera. Create your own opportunities. And again, I can't stress that enough. I myself in my career definitely created my own opportunities. And shooting my first short film. My very first short film, Out the Box, won the Showtime Black Filmmakers Showcase, and it aired on Showtime. And because of that, I was given money to write and direct another short film that also aired on Showtime and screened at numerous festivals around the world. I've gotten to travel because of my films. And so I say all that to say, create your own opportunities. Don't wait for someone to give you something, to say, hey, take this, run with it. If you're a director wanting to be a director, or if you're a writer, if you're a director, get with a friend who's a writer, say, hey, can you write this for me? Oh, I have this idea. Collaborate and really create your own tribe of people who are on a similar journey and similar mission that you're on. You know, that's very, very important. I think in the industry of entertainment or music, film, you know, what have you, there are always going to be naysayers, right? Always naysayers. And I want you to know that that has less to do with you and all to do with them. Remember that, you know, so creating your own opportunities, getting with your tribe, you know, surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded and who's gonna be like ride and die with you. You know, like, hey, let's go shoot this. Like, okay, cool. When we do it, let's roll. Like, that's who you want to surround yourself with. You know, it's like, hey, I want to collaborate on this. That person, okay, cool. How do you want to do it? When do you want to meet? You want to? Those are the people that you want to surround yourself with. The next thing I'll say is, as you're creating your opportunities and putting your own work out there, and I know a lot of you already do this, but using social media, right? So, you know, a lot of people coming up can't afford a publicist, you know, to put you out there. And I know a lot of, you know, you students already know this, but social media is free publicity. It's free publicity. And I have to say, I was very resistant to it at first. And I still have some resistance to it. I have quite a love-hate relationship with social media, but I recognize the importance of it. I recognize the importance of it. It's an opportunity for me to promote myself. It's an opportunity for me to put my work out there, and people see my work, and opportunities have come from that. So if I put up a commercial, this is my new work, wow, someone sees that and reaches out to me because, hey, I have something I think you'd be great for. So I can't stress that enough, you know, using social media and being very mindful that everything you post, everything you put out at 19, 20, is on the World Wide Web. And if you're not already thinking about it, think about your brand. Think about who you are, what your messaging is, who do you want people to see you as? How do you want to present yourself? And be intentional across the board about that. That's very important. So don't post something just to post something, but be thoughtful, you know, and know that as you're going after for jobs, or you're starting your own business, whatever that is, your footprint on the World Wide Web matters. It matters. It matters. People are looking at you. Let me go to their social media imprint to see who this person is. They don't know you personally, but they're gonna get something about you based on what you post. So be smart about what you're posting and what you're aligning yourself with. I'll say that. On the point of being intentional, you know, a lot of us, you know, whether we're writers, we are musicians, we are journalists, we're NFL broadcaster, whatever those things are, whether or not you're doing it right now, whenever someone asks you, what do you do? Speak it. So if you're a barista, you know, working at Starbucks to, you know, make some money, if someone says, oh, what do you do? I'm a writer. I'm a journalist. You know, speak it into being, you know. So yeah, you're making us meet here and there, but I think there is power in speaking it, because I think it makes you, it makes me, it makes us believe that we are those things, you know. So don't and it took me a while to be comfortable with that, to be honest. It really took me a while to call myself a writer, you know, because I had my own insecurities about writing. I knew I was good at it, but I knew there were a hell of a lot more people that were better at it than I am. And so I was hesitant to call myself that. Now I own it, now I claim it. And so I just think it's really, it's important that you speak out loud what you do and who you are as a creative. A couple other things I'll say too is always be prepared. Always be prepared. And what I mean by that is your resume done, up to date? You know, I was interviewing for assistants actually a few weeks ago for my upcoming film, and I was really impressed with a few, not all, a lot of a few of the people who I interviewed. Just their resume was tight. The cover letter was sensational. You know, it wasn't a throwaway form cover letter. It was intentional. It was specific. Those are things that I, as someone who hires people, value. And so I would say, always be prepared. So if I said to you today, I need an assistant, send me over your resume, I'm interviewing tomorrow, is that resume ready? Or you got to scramble to get it? Can you send it to me in 2 minutes? You know, so we have some downtime, with this pandemic, unfortunately, or fortunately, and depending on how you look at it. But resumes, business cards. If you're a director, a reel. Have you shot stuff in college? Can you put together a reel? And when you're putting together that reel, look at other reels, look at other directors' work, because presentation, and I'm all about, and Teresa can probably speak to this in terms of me, I'm all about presentation, and whenever I'm conceptualizing anything or preparing to shoot something, I always do a full-on deck or lookbook or what have you, because it not only cements the world for me, but it also makes my vision clear for whoever's reading it, a potential financier, whomever, and so make sure your work is tight. Make sure your work is tight. And if you don't know it's tight, then have someone else look at it. Look at other directors' reels online, on YouTube, on Vimeo, to see how they're put together and mimic that, there's no excuse for not, I think, having a great presentation. And if you don't know how, there are people who do, so ask for help where that's concerned. And I'll say a couple more things, and then we can open up to questions, I guess. I know I've said a lot. As creatives, if you're looking to be a director, writer, one, be doing those things, obviously, honing your craft, however, whenever you can. But I always like to push to young people in terms of jobs, in terms of making a living. There are other professions in the entertainment industry that many people don't know about, and like a camera assistant, an art director, a sound mixer. When I was managing, line producing commercials, I'm paying my sound mixer $900 for a 10-hour day. I mean, that's great money. You know what I mean? Or my VTR person, $600 for a 10-hour day. Camera assistants making $600. If you're a cinematographer, I'm paying you up to $4,000 for a 10-hour day. And these are all union rates. But I say that to say there are other ways to work in the industry and make a great living. And you can still be honing your craft, if it's directing or writing or whatever, while you're doing these jobs. So those are other things. And I would educate yourself around these other departments as well. I have a really great friend who went to NYU Film School many, many years ago. He was in the film school, and he learned how to do sound, and he made his living. And he's a director. He made his living for many years working as a sound mixer, you know, so able to support himself and his family doing that while he was, you know, had his hustle on to get the directing work. So that's something he learned out of film school and just took it into the industry. So I can't stress that enough. And I'll say two last things, I promise. Create balance in your life. Create balance in your life. Meditate, go to concerts, musicals, plays, operas, whatever it is that you do that inspire you, do it. I'm all about that. I love being inspired. I love watching great, you know, listening to great music, looking at great art, great films, great filmmaking. I like walking meditation, so I love to go for a walk in a nearby park. That's my meditation. So we have to find balance. So I can't encourage that enough as well. And then lastly, save money. Save money. A lot of us, particularly a lot of us people of color, we haven't been taught the importance of finance. But at age 19, 20, 21, where you are now, even if you're not making a ton of money off the bat out of college, save money. Open up, I know this isn't a finance course, but I have to say this because it's so important. Open up an online savings account, something you never see. There are plenty of banks online that have no brick and mortar that you can walk into and pull some money out. And just if it's $25 a month, if it's $50 a month, have an automatic transfer of monies into a savings account. Oh, just to have that, you know, and open up yourself a retirement account. I know I know this is like, well, I'm 20, I'm 19, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to hear this. Do it. You know, open up an IRA or Roth account and put money in and just let it do its thing. So when you're 35, which may seem old to a lot of the students, you have some money, you know, 36, 37, you have money, you can put a down payment on the house. So I just have to end with that because that's something we don't speak to a lot as artists, but it's so important. Yeah, don't sleep on it. Don't say, oh, I'll get to it. Oh, I'm young. I have a lot of more years to go. Let me tell you, when you get to age 40, like I have, you may want to retire.
You feel like you need to some days. Yeah.
You know? So I'll end with that, and I guess we can open it up to questions.
My goodness, Tamika, you done said a word today. You know, it's every single thing you touched on lands just so beautifully because you know, some of the things that you've talked about today, my colleagues and I, we have pressed upon the students, but there have been a couple jewels today that I've yet to ever speak on, and are so important for a budding filmmaker or journalist to really, you know, to key in and know that the importance of having a balanced life. I think, you know, as a faculty member, we get kind of caught up in the driving home the points and the lessons and the projects and without question, we care about all these beautiful students. We care about all of them. But I think when you say go for a walk and meditate and pray and listen to music and, you know, all that you can't say that enough, because then that gives you the inspiration, that gives you the soul behind your stories.
Absolutely.
Right. And then the other piece, the financial piece, you know, studies show, statistics reveal that the 20s is actually nowadays, because of the cost of education, your 20s is where you will build the greatest amount of debt because of student loans, the cost of going to school, the cost of starting your life. The cost of starting your life is what you will spend your life paying for, and a lot of times. And when young people, you know, make a big purchase right out the gate, college, cars, maybe buying a home, earlier in your life in your 20s, you spend the rest of your life chasing the payment. And so understanding the power of putting together your savings now, putting together your retirement now, cannot be said enough. And you've given us a great lesson on that today. Hey, loves, go ahead and unmute your mics, and let's begin the Q&A session here. Anyone have any questions? Turn your cameras on also so that we can see you as well. So she's not talking into a void. We got Quest, we have Gerald, I think Tyler's in there somewhere. We have Alexandra. Yeah, come on and join us. All right, so
my camera's blocked.
There you go. Go ahead. I think Tyler has a question first. He's been chomping at the bit.
My camera's blocked.
Oh, okay. I got you. There we go.
I didn't have a question, but I did want to say, listening to Ms. Miller, and I did write my review, that a lot of the things that you said resonated with me, as far as taking time out of your day to breathing, walking, working out.
Speak up for me, Quest. A little bit louder.
I'm actually driving my car.
There you go.
I was just saying that I agree, and that the things that you were saying, as far as focusing on myself, my spiritual ability, over, not consuming myself in video and editing and sticking to this computer hours at a time. That break makes this doable. So that resonated, one. And then two, you mentioned that you've been a freelancer for as long as you've been in the game. And that hit home for me, because whenever I tell people that I want to be a freelance artist, some people give me weary looks because they have this prejudgment that they already know how far I can go. And it's there's a stigma that freelancing is a gateway into the industry, but you obviously are a walking example that it is doable all the way through your career.
Absolutely, Quest. Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised. A lot of people, if not most people in the entertainment industry, are freelancers, so all the TV shows you see on network or streaming, Netflix, and, all the people working behind the scenes they're not staffed. They're not 9 to 5. They're not studio executives. They're not working in an office. There's that. Those are those people, but there's also a whole world of people who are behind the scenes. For someone like yourself, who's a videographer, editor, in my work as a director, as a producer, I'm hiring behind the scenes videographers. That's a job. That's a freelancer that I'm paying $800, even more, $1,000 a day to just record behind the scenes footage. So yeah, I encourage you to stay on your path. And like I said, surround yourself with people who get it, who support you, and support you, and who are not naysayers. Do you.
Mm-hmm. Tyler, are you ready?
It's my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Tamika, I think you spit a lot of facts. Everybody been spitting facts. You spit a lot of facts, especially with the financial stuff. I'm a business minor, so you spit a lot of truth right there. And when you started talking about the film festivals, that sparked my interest, because I'm trying to find out find which film festivals I want to submit to, because TDV is like, I guess, you know what I'm talking about. The scholarship.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So I have it on my list, but I haven't chosen the ones I wanted, because there's so many. I'll be on Film Freeway or whatever, and there's so many film festivals. I'm like, my goodness, I don't know which one to submit to. So I would like to know, I need some wisdom. What's the science or how do you know which ones to submit to? What should you do to stand out or to do it properly? Because I know there's a lot of steps that goes into when you're submitting it. So I would like to know, please.
Well, I've submitted to lots of film festivals. And it really, I have no idea what your work is about, but I would start there. You know, there are film festivals that are tailored towards certain, you know, certain work. So just as an example, I'm queer. I've written and directed queer content. So there are film festivals that highlight, you know, LGBTQIA directors. You know, if you've directed something that's horror, you know, in the horror genre, there are film festivals that are more specific to that. You know, I'm happy to have an off camera conversation with you. Teresa can facilitate that, where I'm happy to actually watch your work and give you my thoughts and opinion on what I think what I would do. You know, submitting to film festivals is pricey. There's a fee associated with that. But, you know, obviously there are the 10 major festivals, you know, like Tribeca and Sundance and, you know, South by Southwest and Cannes, but there are, as you know, thousands of other film festivals. So, yeah, I'm happy to, like I say, look at your work and give you my thoughts and opinion and any insight I have on which direction to go. I actually think a friend of mine is watching. She says she would, who happens to be the director of programming at Tribeca. But yeah, it just really depends on what makes sense for you in your work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So Teresa, what happened?
Yeah, you know what I was just about to say, we got a couple of constructs that can facilitate that. Number one, and you know, actually I'll jump ahead and do a screen share of this real quick. All the speakers will have access to this page. I'm going to update this page here today. The students have a shoot your shot page. Okay. Where they will have an opportunity for you to click a single link. So they have to maximize the opportunities, you know, whether it's on their LinkedIn page or their website. In the case of T. Hayes, since he brought it up and we were talking about it, his link will bring you to his LinkedIn page where perhaps that would be a great opportunity for you, Tyler, to put your reel there, or if there's something that you want Tamika or anyone to see, to make sure they have access to you know, to that clip or to that video or to that short film and be able to see it there. And then other students have, you know, their website. I think, you know, a student has her YouTube channel that link directs you to. So that could be one way for our guests to see some of your work. And then, of course, I will be more than happy to facilitate opportunities with our speakers, in particular with Tamika, to do a one-on-one with you. Perhaps after the call, or, you know, like maybe later in the week, maybe we'll figure out our schedules. It's not like, you know, the pandemic is ending today. Lord, it could have just ended today though. But we have some time. So what I could do is work with Tamika and her schedule, work with you all and your schedule, and set up some more Zoom calls or some sort of facilitated way to get you in front of some of these people, in front of Tamika, and show your work off and get some coaching in that respect as well. Yeah. All right. Who else? Who else has a question, a concern, a confession?
I have a question.
We're doing no confessions now. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Gerald.
So advertising is something I've also looked into as a means, as a potential career path for me, because I know that advertising and filmmaking are very similar. So my question for you is, for anybody who's interested in like any aspect of it, like directing, copywriting, what could they do to propel themselves into that field?
Well, in commercial, there's two sides of advertising, Gerald. So I've worked on the production end, you know, so advertising agencies are hired by brands to come up with a creative to sell those brands, right? So there's the ad agency side. So if you're looking to be a copywriter, then that's the side you would be on. If you're looking to be a commercial director, then you would be on the other side. So advertising agencies hire directors like myself to elevate, if you will, their vision of what the campaign should be. So you said two different things. You said copywriter, you said director. What do you want to go into? Do you know?
I'm more interested in copywriting.
Copywriting. So you would be working for an ad agency on the advertising side. You know, at this point, I would really look into, I will look up ad color, ADCLOR. Look up ad color. Read up about ad color and a lot of the people, the executives. Actually, there's a really great article right now that just came out a couple days ago about people of color in advertising. And find out who's who. Find out who the players are, different ad agencies, et cetera, and get to know who they are. You know, because at the end of the day, when you graduate from college, you want to have a good sense of who the ad agencies are. I don't know where you're gonna end up living. You know, if you're gonna stay, you know, in where you are in Texas or venture New York or California or San Francisco, whatever that may be. But find out what agencies are in those cities. You know, what agencies are in your city. You know, and reach out to the players there. It's like I'm a soon to be graduate. I'm really looking to write, you know, I love advertising, you know, really sort of take your shot, shoot your shot in that sense. See what opportunities they have at those ad agencies to come in as a junior associate. So you really just have to do your homework on who's out there. Also look at what kind of work do you want to be doing? You know what I mean? You know, a lot of people want to be writing for Nike or Apple, you know, but, you know, there are people, copywriters who are writing for Charmin toilet paper or what, you know what I mean? So, and that's all good, you know, so really hone in on the kinds of content you like and who's doing that content. It's very easy to find out what ad agency is producing, you know, all the Samsung commercials or whatever, you know what I mean? And track those agencies, find out who those players are, and then contact them. Be bold, be fearless.
All right.
Yeah,
Ask
here
them,
in
"Can I
Houston,
interview you?"
here in Houston, an avenue might be as well. You know, there are a lot of local businesses, and we're here with the oil industry, as well as there are a number of, like, you know, breweries, and you know, we have the largest medical center in the nation. Maybe writing some spec commercials, some spec commercial copy, and putting together you know, a portfolio, begin your portfolio that way, and so just kind of, you know, make yourself available for contention with local ad agencies here in Houston. Since you're a junior, talking to you in particular, Gerald, since you're a junior, that might be a great opportunity for you to do your internship work, to find somebody who will mentor you and coach you up, so that if you do decide to leave the area and pursue this work, you know, more aggressively someplace else, or even more aggressively here, move into Houston and do the work. The great thing too about technology today is that, you know, a lot of the writing work can happen almost anywhere. And you know, it's not like you're in a sloth of a city. You know, this is the third largest city in the nation. So you try yourself out here, see what happens.
Yeah. And
Who else?
real
I'm
quick,
sorry, go ahead.
Teresa, because you touched on something that is so important, just mentorship, having mentors. You know, don't be shy in young people with asking people if they would support you in being a mentor. You know, I wish I had mentors actually in my 20s and coming up, to be honest. And they're so important. So whatever industry you're going into, advertising, seek out to a couple, 3 people. Say, hey, can I call upon you here and there to get some advice?
Okay, that's an
Thank
excellent
you.
note to end on. And I say excellent note to end on. I want to preface that with unfortunately, because I looked up and it's 12:30 and somehow a half hour has turned into an hour so quickly, so easily.
My fault.
No, and so lovingly. Tamika, thank you so much for giving us your time today.
My pleasure.
When Tamika said earlier, presentation is everything. Let me tell y'all something about this woman and how much of a stickler about presentation she is. Check out this hat. Fly, cold. Yeah, got the look. She called me last night. She was like, I'm trying on a few things. I want to get my look right. I'm like, of course. And what we mean by that, what she means by that is that she's always ready. She doesn't have to get ready because she stays ready. This is a person who is at a drop of a dime. If you say, I need, she already has it in your hand. I need a script for this. I need a lookbook for this. I need a spec commercial. I need a reel. And all of a sudden, Tamika is not only there on top of it, but inspiring you to also up your game. Real quick before we leave, Dalila was on Thursday and she mentioned an organization called Power Up. And we shot, there were 5 of us who worked together on this tribute video for Jennifer Beals. Do you remember this, Tamika?
Yeah.
We shot a promo piece.
Yeah.
It was a tribute. She was getting Jennifer Beals, the L Word, flash dance, just beautiful Jennifer Beals. We had to put together a promo, a tribute video for her. And everyone on the team, there were 4 of us working on this together. Everyone on the team ended up getting the flu. And we all hunkered down. Huh?
Including you.
Including me. We all hunkered down at Tamika's house because it had to be done. It had to be finished. It had to be right. It had to be wonderful. And Tamika just kind of gave us all a place to fall, but keep working. Everybody, come on, but we got to keep going. And we put together such an amazing piece because we all were just so dedicated to doing excellent work, even while suffering from the flu. But I bring that up because that's the person she is. She's a nurturer. When she says she would talk to each of you or as many as her schedule will permit, she legit means that because she's about building the next generation. Tamika, thank you so much.
Thank you. My honor. It's an honor.
Yeah. And
we have more time, but like Teresa said, I am happy to have a conversation off the live feed.
Excellent. Thank you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon. I'm gonna catch up with you anyway, because I suspect when you say we have time, maybe we should be revisiting Kathy.
We have time.
All right. All right, y'all. I'm gonna end the call. Thank y'all so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.